And welcome everybody to Global Speedrun Association and our Super Mario Odyssey Any Percent League today with a race between the freshly crowned world record holder, once again, NicroVeda, on the left side, and we got Equan, also used to have world record some time ago. I think his current PB is still the run that used to be record with a 1:00:38. Equan on the right side, and I'm joined by Dangers to cast this very big match. What's up, Dangers?
Hello. How's it going, Limcube?
I mean, I said the last time we were commentating, when we basically freshly got into the Seaside time save, that it's currently a pretty exciting time for Any Percent, right? Like, we are improving. There might be a big PB coming up soon, but I'm not quite sure if anybody expected really the run that Nicro got yesterday. Nicro did get, and I'm not sure if it got retimed again to either a 1:00:11 or a 1:00:10. So at this point, we are literally basically 10 seconds away from breaking the barrier that was pretty much made up from the sub 1 barrier. And this is probably the most exciting Any Percent has ever been.
Absolutely. And to see it is kind of NicroVeda coming in hot. He is the kind of runner who, you see him running, you see him going. He's always kind of at the grind, but he has that one run that comes along and he just pops off. And, it really shows just how phenomenal of a player he is when all the pieces get put together.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fitting for Nitro to be back on top. This is the perfect timeline. We got, I think, around like 4. There's like 4 runners where people realistically expect him to suddenly get the sub 1 right now. That's probably between Nicro, Chaos, Goyuya, and Curbs. These seem to be the most active right now that really actively push for it. Suisaiga is still up there and still trying to improve his PB, and we know he has potential for a ginormous one, like a huge PB. But yeah, the race is really on. Like, the race is really on right now. So suddenly, you could just get like a notification that someone is actually on sub-hour pace.
And, to be fair, NicroVeda was until luncheon. So it's the fact that those numbers are still kind of lingering well into the late game is really quite an exciting time.
Yep, haven't really dreamt of seeing this, but now we can actually arguably say Dilde is on sub-hour pace. But exciting nonetheless. This is as far as that makes racing also more exciting, because I mean there's still a very small chance, but this chance exists that a run like this could happen during one of these races. That would obviously be pretty insane, but we see Nitro so far unbeaten yet to be defeated. I think only him and Stravos have the unique position of that. And Equan, I'm not sure how warmed up he's gonna be. He's always a wild card. His movement is always insane, and if he plays well, he can beat anyone. But I'm not sure how warm he is today. We'll see. Not really calling any favorites, but I think we're good to go and probably about to start any second.
We have upcoming here the Battle of Canada, the top 2 in Canada actually going head to head. Both of these guys have had the world record at one point. This is going to be an exciting one for sure. But I think you're right. Equan is a little bit of a wild card, has been kind of MIA as far as streaming is concerned. It's not really easy to clock how much he's practicing, what he's been up to, what he's been playing. He is also kind of the runner to be a little bit more reserved about posting his PBs and keeping his actual progress under tabs. Sometimes he will wait until he crosses like a whole minute threshold before he bothers posting another PB. Those kinds of things keep you in the dark about Equan. So you always just kind of assume that he is a silent sleeper and he will come and strike at any moment. NicroVeda being kind of the opposite of that. He is a very prominent streamer, always very open, and always has his stream and his runs and his practice going for everybody at all times. You kind of know what he's up to, but at the same time, I think it's really going to come down to if Nicro can kind of carry the consistency through in this race versus Equan.
Well, Equan sets himself pretty high standards, so that's exactly what this is all about. So as you said, he might be in the dark. Maybe he is practicing. Maybe he is secretly getting runs on sub-hour pace, and he's just not telling anyone. That would obviously be another pretty hype timeline. But yeah, the big advantage Nitro obviously also has is I think he's currently doing this full time. As far as I'm concerned, Equan definitely going to school, as far as I'm aware. So makes it a little bit harder to put in the hours that Nitro might be able to. But yeah, I think Nitro probably actually out of many runners does have a little bit of a natural. I don't really want to use the word talent because in our community it has been kind of like memed with, but he has like some preposition to actually do well in this game. When he was going into other categories like Darker Side, he played it for like 2 weeks and he got like a top 3 time. So definitely pretty crazy stuff.
I think when it comes to Nicro's game, he just practices very smart. He knows exactly what he needs to do to improve the game, and that's the kind of thing that you know that natural talent, quote unquote, comes from, is being able to kind of distinguish where your problems lie and what you need to do to iron out the problems. And Nicro, I think, is extremely good at that.
For sure.
Because it can't always be about going for the hardest things just to save the most time, because you got to kind of balance it with a level of consistency. There's a fine line there, and I think Nicro plays with that line very well.
Well, so far, Equan is snacking that lead here in Cap Kingdom. One of his stronger suits, his early game in general. Not sure these like best exits ever change pretty rapidly at this point in time. I'm not sure if he still does have the best like sand exit. I know Dancer has gotten like a 10:01, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, sub 10 sand, also something that we only dreamt of like a while ago. I dreamed of a while ago, and now it's like a reality almost. But let's see, Equan actually starting to go for a smooth skip here. We might see the difference in approaches. Looks like both of them might try to go for the wall jump list. Equan will get it, Nitro actually won't. And will even take a bonk here. You can actually tell that by them going for the up throw, but Nitro is struggling now to make it below that invisible wall. Oof, he's really getting held back. This is something you rarely see now. FMS causing a runner issues, on this level at least, is something you rarely see. Equan already in the Mother Brutal fight.
Nitro taking a risk there with that strategy, you know, going the wall jumpless variation definitely is a bit of a risk, and it looks like he didn't get quite the distance to make it happen. Fumbling with the backup there, taking a couple extra bonks, and giving the Equan the early lead here.
Yeah, Equan definitely gonna be happy about that. He ended up getting that wall jumpless start here for Cascade, so his run is looking very good so far. For Nitro in this kind of run, getting a PB, I mean, as good as his PB is right now, it's literally probably impossible at this point to PB for him. I guess by the numbers, maybe not, but just realistically thinking, a PB would die to something like that at this point in time. Equan though looking at a pretty nice run, but this is not what matters. What matters here. But Nitro even taking a little bit more of a hit here, getting hit by Mr. Chain Chompkins, and also kind of running away from Madame Bull to actually get the hit. And Equan taking a really solid lead very early in.
Looked like Nicro didn't get the back flip that he was looking for there, and instead just got a single jump and got hit right in the face by Chain Chompkins himself, the legend.
For sure. Equan is now already approaching the Cliff Moon here, going for these jumps above. And let's see if he's able to get the false chest look here. This is looking like a very, very solid Cascade exit. Good cap, probably like a low 222. And looks like a very nice height there from that upwarp of that chest. So he will be able to get that instant globe there with the spin throw. Very hot early game from Equan so far.
Amazing. No real issues to speak of on Equan's part. Going for all of the fast optimizations and getting them flawlessly. Nicro's got his work cut out for him heading into Sand Kingdom.
For sure. This is probably going to be like a 507, 508 for Equan. Absolutely. Wait. That might even be better. Yeah, that was almost like a 506. What? Oh, okay, just barely 507, but still, I mean, 506 I think is like the best exit we've seen here, so this is like 1 second off, and this cap wasn't even quote-unquote that good. I really want to see what that Cascade ended up being, because, yeah, that was crazy. Almost 506 exits here in Cascade. This is like as good as it gets for early game. Nitro definitely, actually this is pretty massive as far as an early game lead is concerned here, because it looks like Nitro is probably going to be dealing with something like a 540 here. So Equan almost like 35 seconds ahead, leaving Cascade. That's pretty massive.
Yep. It's really going to pay off in Equan's favor that he is playing as optimally as he is right now. And we know that Equan is the strongest in the early game, so Nicro may have some opportunities to make the ground up in the later game if Equan starts to fumble. But, you know, as it stands right now, Equan is literally flying through this game.
Yeah. Very nice, gets the roll into the pipe. Also actually got a fast action guide at the start. This is something you start focusing on whenever a run gets that good, because records tend to be broken on these kind of exits. For example, if his sand was amazing now, he even got the fast action guide skip, he would be able to maybe get that best sand exit back. Maybe we would see that sub 10, which would be absolutely stunning. It is technically possible with the exit he got in Cascade, but it would require an amazing sand. Let's see if Nicro's gonna make back up some time. I almost always encounter this phrase and it never feels right, but whatever. Equan though is gonna be approaching Dram now. We've seen some bigger time losses there. Nice side flip on the ice player. Dude, Equan is playing out of his mind, dude.
Some fascinating strats for movement there. The kinds of optimizations I haven't even think of implementing at all yet. And Equan is just nailing them all. Getting with the ice jam strategy set up here. Hopefully his throw is good enough, and it is gonna work. He is he's popping off. Seriously.
This is definitely the best early game we've seen, at least in this league so far, unless I missed something obvious. I know Curbs got like an 18-11 wooded exit. We throw around these numbers, by the way. I hope you guys don't get too confused if you're not too familiar with the speed game. Once you actually do a ton of runs and watch a ton of runners, you kind of get a gauge for what actually is a good exit time. But so far, Equan is, yeah, he's playing ridiculous. Swing step though coming up, and obviously still section where can potentially drop some seconds. Nicro's up throw looks fine. He might be able to get that still. And Equan will clip there.
Yep, gets the first clip just fine. That amount of coins looks a little bit sketchy. He might be looking to go to Seaside later if that wasn't just enough. Oh no, it does look like he might be okay. And getting the second clip just fine as well, through the wall. And he can't be stopped. There's nothing you can do.
I was about to say, dude, I actually might need to confirm that Equan changed his date because this run is looking too good. But looking back at the chat, he is in fact on the verification date. Like, this is the date we set for this. So this is Equan's gameplay right now live. This is actually crazy.
No splicing, no pre-recording here. This is actually happening live in front of you right now.
Yeah, and looks like that Jaxi skip was working very nicely in his favor. Really, actually no mistake in sand so far too, so I'm really excited to see what this might be. Gets the power roll of the Jaxi. I'm almost feeling sad for Nike, who just missed his first attempt at the swing slip here, because we are not paying too much attention to him. He's obviously still in this race and he can easily win this even still. But right now Equan is literally making it as hard as possible.
Yeah, an 846 Cactus Moon Grab. You know, to be on 100 pace, you want to be looking at something like a 905 for that moon. Just like the paces for this is absolutely ridiculous. He is like, as long as he gets the good notes, we could be looking at like a 10 flat, maybe even the first sub 10.
No.
Oh no, and of course I've
run. Literally the first mistake of the run. It's still probably going to be a very amazing sand exit here, but that was like the first mistake he literally made in this run. Absolutely amazing.
Fantastic stuff.
Oh, never mind. Another one. Not the best notes, but is still gonna be happy about this one. Nike was just right now approaching the Oasis section in general, so Equan is pretty much 3 moons ahead, leaving sand. Nice spin count there on top of the stump. The palm tree too.
Even with all of that Oasis kind of fumbling, you're probably still looking at an OX here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Looks like an 07, but it also goes to show how much mistakes like these lose. Him grabbing the palm tree there and having some sloppiness in the Oasis, but that was absolutely amazing up until that point.
Yep, 03, dude. 03.
Wait, 03 still?
Yes.
Wait, still?
At fade out. So without all of that Oasis stuff, he definitely would have sub 10'd with that.
What, that was actually, like, I was doing my maths wrong. That if that was still a sub 10:03 exit, that was definitely sub 10 pace before he like entered the Oasis. Really crazy stuff.
Fascinating stuff. And to think that he's able to pull it off in a race too just exemplifies the kind of skill and optimization that Equan is capable of here.
Yeah, for sure. Nicro on his side is going to be getting looks like 10:44. So looks like Equan is actually 40 seconds ahead leaving sand. Nicro definitely not dealing with the biggest flaws in sand. It was mostly Cascade. He had some additional clip attempts, but currently Equan is trying to run away with this. However, there's still a lay clip to be gotten here in this kingdom, and then obviously we're heading into wooded, so anything can happen right there. But right now, he's making his way over to the clip here. Let's see how early he can clip. Gets capital clip first try. Will get out of bounds immediately. Hopefully doesn't mess up the out of bounds movement. Grabs the checkpoint and makes his way towards the chest there. Very optimal late clip too. So I don't know, man. This is a pretty crazy run.
Absolutely insane stuff so far. Nicro making his way into Lake Kingdom now, getting this spin pound on the Lakeshore Moon, and he's going to be approaching Lake Clip himself. And I've seen some very interesting setups for this clip, and some of them, you know, from my perspective, they don't really make sense, but these runners are still able to make them work. Like Ekwon kind of just looked like he stared at the wall for a half a second and then just was able to do it. I like Nicro's particular strategy here, kind of doing a crouch walk into the wall and then into the down throw, and that down throw does make Cappy return to you a little bit faster, so you are able to save almost like 0.4 of a second or something like that by doing that.
That was very fast too there by Nitro. Also first try late clip, so he's still hanging in there. And as soon as Equan makes one bigger mistake, something even like a missed nut clip, obviously, Nitro can immediately get that race back on his side. But so far this Lake has been very good as well. We'll see what that fade out time will be here for Lake. And Equan on his way to get there right now.
This is going to be a sub 13 Lake, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is going to be like 55 or something along these lines. This cutscene is like 19 seconds. I don't know. It's very crazy. C-side exit. I think Go Yuga might have gotten a better one before, but for a race, very hard to stay close to. But Nitro did what he could, very fast lake clip here, and he's still going to be hanging in there. And with Equan heading into Wooded, there is lots of stuff to potentially, that can potentially still happen.
Almost certainly. We are still within the first 15 minutes, so just about anything is possible into the late game, but, you know, Ekwon is on fire. And hopefully he can use this momentum to carry himself through. We are approaching the first, probably, arguably the hardest kingdom in the whole run here, in my opinion, being Wooded Kingdom. So plenty of opportunities for things to go horribly wrong here. Hopefully they don't, but if it were to happen, this would be the place.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen tons of mistakes also happening in Lost during this league and later games, but this is the one where you are like not surprised at all if someone does end up not getting the clip at the nut. If someone does, I'm pretty sure in a run like this, because Equan is probably just licking blood at this point, is probably going to be going for that tree straight. I'm not sure if he actually practiced that, because this is something that he might have just not really looked at while he was, looks like he did, while he was quote-unquote MIA, as you mentioned earlier. But looks like he will be going for that, and we've seen very tremendous time losses from people going for that strat and then falling on that weird angle for a roll skip. But okay, that was weird. I was about to say, I'm not sure if I'm liking this camera angle. Equan kind of, I'm interested if the nut might have not been loaded in, because it seems like the upload ran through it and suddenly he was on top.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious myself. That was a bit strange.
Didn't really like the camera angle.
But yeah, as you said, this route in particular, a very dangerous thing to go for, because you are kind of losing a bit of your safety net as you approach the later parts of this Wooded Kingdom. Any death, including Flower Road skip itself, does result in a warp all the way back to the shop. So you have to be extremely careful not to take a fall, to play it as safe as you can, but also, of course, be fast. That is the name of the game.
Equan actually getting the triple and not opting to go for some weird rail roll ideas, but both of them getting the clips of Equan had phenomenal out of bounds with Nitro bonking, but he actually got lucky that he bonked there. If he followed through after that cap throw, he would have been in an awful spot, potentially even falling to the depots, but right now Nitro's even taking an additional bonk right here. Oof, this is looking kind of sketchy. I hope he can get that out of bounds moongrab. Not really getting lucky. Gets the moongrab now. I hope he is not in that little alcove though. We haven't seen that in a while, but he is able to clip back in bounds. And even after some rough time in that section, he will be fine. Equan shoutouts. I say this all the time, and I watched Chaos do this yesterday. Just rolling through this checkpoint. In a race like this, you still save time skipping the Piranha plant, but if you die, it's not race losing. Like, you would actually spawn at the checkpoint.
Right.
And wouldn't spawn at the shop. Gets a long jump on the railing. Oh, will even still get that flow road skip. That almost looked close to me. He was like he was a little bit far, but he will get that. And this would also looking phenomenal.
Yep, we're still not really looking at any mistakes to speak of, with the exception of just like some weird situations, diving in the wrong direction in the Oasis, as well as getting some interesting uproot problems with the nut and maybe just not loading in or something, the game not treating him well, but at least it was not a substantial time loss. We're only looking at a couple of seconds still.
So Nycro didn't opt for the tree there and would. I'm not sure if his current PB, aka world record, does that strat, or if that's like a time set that still can be gotten from that amazing time that he currently has. But we'll see, we'll see. Equan now about to do Speedrun skip, leaving the store before 17 minutes even approached. Interesting strat there. I think this was something Strabos brought up back in the day, kind of spin pounding at the lower section of the tower. Might be personal preference. Now going for that spin for to break the nut. Will get the moon. Super optimal. Pretty much everything we've been looking at here. And now making his way through with the pipeway. I was also previously corrected that apparently the best pace we've seen in this league might have been Curbs still, but he got an 18-19, not an 18-11. I think that was actually the good one Go Yulia was in. So we see if Equan, I think, is on pace right now to potentially beat that. If he gets that cycle here, because he looked a little bit slow at the start there, but looks like he will still touch that moon.
And he is warping, and he is on his way out, and this
probably like a 17
cutscene,
or something, 18.
So yeah, like I was gonna say this cutscene takes about 10 seconds or something like that. Yeah, so it's probably gonna be a 17 exit. Which, if we are to believe that 19 was the best league exit by Curbs, then we are looking at the best league exit for Wooded that we have ever seen.
Okay, so Nycro entering Piper right here, pretty much. I think maybe like 50 seconds, a minute behind Equan here. This is mostly due to him not having the best time in that out of bounds section, but he still got the clip though. And a minute is nowhere near of being safe for Equan. We've seen very costly lost deaths. We've seen, I mean, literally deaths in the pillar room. So even though Equan's pace is phenomenal, that doesn't necessarily mean that he would be guaranteed a win.
It is still too early to tell, truly. And like I've mentioned before, Equan's strong suit definitely being the early game. He is kind of known for being the guy to go to as far as early game, but even in our private chat here, he is saying that that was his best Wooded exit of all time, not just in races, of all time. So even good by Equan standards for the early game. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, then it's definitely worth to say that early game in Equan's kind of perspective probably mostly ends in like sand even. That's what people consider like the Theo %. I don't know where that means. I mean, I kind of know where that meme started, but it's kind of like a dumb story. Lake and Wooded, why not being mid-game, not necessarily the kingdoms I consider Equan to be like phenomenal at. However, these kingdoms we're heading into now, being Lost, Metro, that mid-game section, I would probably think that Nycro has usually the better time in these, and we'll see how this plays out. So far, Equan actually leaving Cloud as Nycro starts up the fight, but now heading into Lost where things get scary and poison is pretty much everywhere to be found.
Literally everywhere to be found, and that can make this a very scary kingdom. Obviously, when you've done this kingdom a million times, you try and block out that fact from your mind as best as you can and try and just go for the fast strats, get through it as fast as you can, play as optimal and as tight as you can, and not worry about that instant death poison.
Now triple jumping up to the butterfly. And I actually saw that coming. That was very sad. We're probably pretty anticlimactically killing all of our hopes of like a very insane ending time. He's still going to be ahead by a long shot here since he already collected that first moon, but that just cut him a drastic amount of time. He's going to be now getting the butterfly back, but Nycro is also going to be moving over to Lost, and that probably lost him close to 30 seconds.
Yep, that's kind of the real kicker with Lost Kingdom, is that the further you get into it, the more costly the deaths become, because your only spawn point is the Odyssey. So if you were to die where Ekwon is now, for example, you would basically have to go back to the Odyssey and make your way all the way back up to where you were collecting your moons, and that makes this a very deadly place to take a fall.
Yeah, even dying here after you already triggered Klepto makes things even worse occasionally, since you kind of need to get back to Klepto to trigger him again.
Yeah, but this is exactly the kind of mistake or fumble that Nicro needed to make his comeback begin here. So we are only about 3 or 4 moons apart from each other now.
Yep. Equan trying to get that spin throw there to hand Cappy to the Tropital, basically intentionally, which is the idea of the strategy, will do so and also gets the moon under the bridge here, hopefully being able to get these rolls, stays alive. So the end of that loss, definitely nice. Won't be happy about this one after that lost exit, but he can absolutely be happy about the pace of this race that is still absolutely going in his favor. I'm assuming this lead is still close to 30 seconds, and that is a nice kind of puffer to play around with. I'm not sure if that's a word you say in English. Oh, Nicro almost dying on that bridge mode. It saves it very nicely.
Lucky to get Cappy back just in time to make the recovery. But yeah, probably about 35 seconds still separates these guys. It just goes to show how optimal and how tight that early game by Ekwon really was, that even a death in loss still keeps a solid lead for him. But I think you're right. I think Nicro does have the advantage when it comes to the mid game. You know, we talked about Ekwon's early game, and I would even say that Ekwon has a very, very strong late game as well. When you look at things like Bowser's Kingdom, he's always been known as one of the best there. But in this mid game, this is where Nicro is really going to shine, and this is where the time is going to be in his favor, I think.
For sure. Well, Equan did let us know that that this section here in general is something that he has been practicing. So we might be looking for some hot new strats that might be a little bit too risky for others to go for, because that's actually what Equan is really pushing compared to other top runners. When he likes the strat, he will definitely push and try to go for that. But shoutouts to Lucidity here coming in with a host supporting the channel, bringing in some Odyssey boys to the mix. Equan right now leading in this race against Nicro, the freshly baked world record holder. Now again, at least.
Was that a Canadian joke, Limcube?
Is it? If it was unintentional. But if it's one, I take it, dude. If it's a good one, I take it.
I think it was a good one.
Nice. Well, Equan actually not opting for the quote-unquote Go Yuya climb. They're kind of skipping a little bit of the elevator, which is something that I think he has been doing in his first races, but a run that he doesn't really want to treat to, like, he definitely wants to treat this run with some caution, because technically I think even with that death, he might still be able to get like a PB if everything goes well, so that's a run you don't throw away. Like his PB right now is like a 1:0:38, which is really good, but the pace he was on was literally ahead of world record, which is, as we brought up, like a 1:00:11 right now, or 10. I'm not sure, it wasn't 11:00, so it might have been retimed. But still a phenomenal pace. Econ tweets the run with a little bit more care, and he obviously also wants to win this race. The Nicro being such a scary opponent, you don't really want to gift him a win just sort of going for a strat that almost doesn't save time.
Certainly. Yeah, we did kind of mention that Ekwon is kind of the runner to put a lot of these risky things in, but, you know, even Ekwon has a breaking point, I think, and when he knows he's so far ahead and he's on the run of his life, with the exception of the one lost death, you know, you really do kind of want to dial it back and kind of pick your poison, I suppose.
Equan definitely not going to be too happy about that wig. Like, he does get the 2 cycle, but that last part was alive for a little bit too long. Didn't really get that early shot in immediately. But yeah, getting close.
And really, we haven't been giving a whole lot of focus to NicroVeda's run here, but the only real kind of hang-up for him has been that early Cascade Kingdom. Everything else has been going really well for him thus far. This is why we are still within the Wiggler fight of each other. He is keeping pace with Ekwon as best as he can. Still not out of this one.
Just collecting that multi-move right now, kind of ending that night section in Metro. And Ipa's going over to his start here, about to come up to Scooter Clip. We've seen some time losses to this one in this league even still. Econ usually tends to be pretty good at these drive-by strats and will get that here again. And we'll see how Nico's gonna do here, because he also is now about to start off that day Metro. It's still looking to be around these 3 moons that they've been apart earlier, but these moons are a little bit quicker than earlier. Obviously, Econ with that big loss in Lost. Okay, that's how you say it. And now gonna be getting the bench friends moon.
Nicro leaving the scooter behind there, doesn't need it in his life. Did do a backtrack and got the scoot clip on the drive-by. Again, keeping pace, maybe just a couple little more like fumbles over Ekwon as far as this day Metro has been going so far, but he is holding tight, keeping it going. No huge mistakes on Nicro's part still.
No, that seemed all fine. To be fair, that's actually a good point. I mean, his early game definitely had some rough mistakes, and his out-of-bounds movement, and you would consider that a quote-unquote major mistake. But it wasn't like the one that Ekwon made was definitely the biggest mistake of this race so far.
Yeah, certainly.
Now capturing the wire here, making his way over to that scrap part before he is already collecting his second position. Nicro just talking to the drummer here. Both of them did do lay clips, so none of them will have to deal with that cappy text here after that musician that Econ is currently collecting to warp on top of the roof.
Yeah, kind of a handy little surprise goodie bag of sorts when it comes to that late clip strategy.
Yes.
You know, we were always contemplating how much is this late clip going to save? Like, how much is this strategy going to save? And then, you know, as you get to Metro, you realize you have an extra 1.5 seconds of free time save just because of it. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, and Econ actually really good at that warp. It looked like I'm pretty sure Nico will be able to do it similarly. He was basically able to select the right checkpoint while the screen was still black, because you actually have some control over the map while the gameplay is kind of fading in, and you really want to make as much use of that as possible. We see here for Nicro, yeah, that was basically exactly what I mean. Like, his warp was already initiated as the screen basically got visible. And Econ now grabbing pool, only cafe to go. Coin count is something worth checking at this point. Actually, yeah, 80 for Econ. So I'm assuming that he'll go to Seasides. 20 coins is not easy to get during the course of snow, and might actually just lose you straight up time. So if Econ is aware of that, he should go to Seaside. Well, Nicro's gonna be taking a bonk here on top of the tower. Dizzying heights. Actually, more dizzying for him than for Econ, so it's gonna take a time loss off of that. And Econ now making his way to the last moon. It's gonna be warping then, and hopefully be selecting Seaside. If he selects Snow, he's in some trouble. Probably needs to kind of switch up his route, and it's definitely taking a time loss. But should not really lose anything if he notices that and ends up going to Seaside, which is also going to be interesting again, because it kind of gives a different perspective on these races. Because right now Econ is clearly in the lead, but when they would make these different choices here and Econ goes to Seaside, we might see a neat little mix-up.
As long as Ekwon notices, that is a big thing. There has been a race already where the coin count kind of slipped the mind of one of the runners, and they ended up actually going to Snow, going right to the shop and making that mistake. So it's not unheard of in these leagues. Just about anything can happen. Did look like Ekwon did choose Seaside here, though.
Very fast too. Like he knew immediately when to start menuing, so you won't actually lose any time at all to this. You'll be absolutely good on coins. Even though the Seaside route changed, we are still taking the cheap through the shortcut. And that shortcut is pretty much full of coins that you can just freely grab while by literally not losing time at all, because this is the way you're going to go anyways. And Econ immediately starting with a very fancy movement here. Not many people go for that in that kind of speed. It's known that you can kind of roll cancel against the wall to get a return jump there, but makes that work phenomenally.
Yep. Not only that roll cancel against the wall to get the cap return bounce, but also into a very tight cap dive against the wall. You know, it's very hard to kind of set that up without bonking against the wall, but Ekwon makes it look really easy.
Absolutely. First two moons look phenomenal. We will obviously be seeing, I mean, I'm definitely certain at this point we will be seeing him going for the new route here, for the Sphinx dip, getting a swing, even going for the spin pon on top. That actually saves a good amount of time on this route, because you want to go in that direction anyways. That strat used to be known. Oh, I love this. Even the RCJ, roll cancel jump into a homing throw, that's such an optimal strat for that cheap too. If he keeps playing like that, I'm definitely excited to see that time. I think C-Set now at this point able to be a 320. Very good exits now with the new route. Excited to see where they'll be pushed in the future. But Econ making this look easy. Micro just got Captain Toad, is now approaching Shiveria, and hopefully also having a good time here.
Yeah, swimming through the coins that he needs for the Snow Kingdom later. But yeah, a little bit of a contrast here. So Snow Kingdom is the longer of the two kingdoms. We will see Nicro probably spending quite a bit of time in Snow Kingdom, while Ekwon is just about to finish up Seaside here.
The clip is still to be gotten though, and I'm not sure, I probably didn't catch every single race since this route has been found, but I'm not sure if anybody ended up clipping back in bounds yet, which can still happen during this route. You want to obviously get this clip first try here. Once again, you kind of use the invisible force. The cheap looks pretty close to the boundaries, but Econ might be able to make it work, and he will very fast recapture. The C-Set is amazing. All he needs to do now is to not clip back in bounds after grabbing this moon. This is the one risk that this route kind of goes along with. Oh my god, that was so close! Oh jeez, and he's able to save his fish, but that's what mattered. If he clipped back in there, he would have lost tremendous amounts of time. But losing some time there on that movement out, the Sphinx, which pretty much was the only mistake on the Seaside. But he will stay safe.
Lucky for him, you did see a little bit of the fish's eyeball just like clip right inbounds, but not enough of him to pop back inbounds completely. So lucky guy. Ekwon is here. Probably still going to be very happy with this exit though.
For sure, yeah. That didn't lose him that much. It was just a little bit like panic attack. And now he's going to be making his way over to Snow. Nicro is already in that Goomba room, so after he gets the moons in here, he is going to be grabbing the shop and then warping over to the Odyssey to attempt Snowdram.
A little bit of a fumble on his triple jump setup there. Looked like he just kind of had some weird momentum, maybe not getting the jumps that he wanted. But he does have the Story Moon and just the shop to buy, and on his way to Snowdram now.
Yeah, that long jump is definitely a very solid backup option. Doesn't lose you too much time at all. It's definitely better than falling and plunging into your death. And you'll be happy with this one. Econ losing some momentum there outside while being in the water. This can be weird movement here, that outside portion of Snow. Only that one additional moon that we get here, and also the only moon, other than Snowdome, obviously, that is available to us, that the game actually lets us get. I guess the game lets us get the chest moon, but that's not really the game's intention.
Certainly. Kind of outside the realm of what the game certainly wants you to do.
It like doesn't make sense too. Like the game denies you so much stuff, like disables loading zones, disables entire things, and then that chest is just there and grabbable. Well, we see if Nicro gets there though. Looks like good vectors here in between, so definitely will get a very swift execution on Snowdram.
And some flashy spin throw roll cancels in order to get all the way to the chest and back. Very solid stuff.
Takes a little while here to acquire his target on that spin pound here, trying to go for exactly that, the spin pound instead of a normal ground pound, which is technically more optimal. The way he had to kind of search for that spot though probably made it slower. Still just fine. Now, hopefully getting the triple jump here will actually not get it. Has to back up this one with like a wall jump. Losing a little bit of time here in the start of Snow, that earlier section.
Not a terribly slow back up there. He did kind of know what he was doing to make it happen, but yeah, a bit of an interesting series of movements. But yeah, Nicro on his way to Seaside now. And Snow is approximately 1 minute longer than Seaside, so it does make sense that we were seeing these guys in the same kingdom at the same time. But I think that Ekwon is just playing out of his mind, and Nicro, you know, with mistakes like these, is going to have a hard time catching up.
Yeah, mistakes like I guess that mistake was maybe just as bad as Ekwon dropping that triple jump, probably a little bit worse, and he's just making okay, Ekwon getting a bonk right there, but both are making some minor mistakes right now. Another bonk for Ekwon. That's actually a pretty big time loss over the course of Snow in general now. Getting 2 bonks there and also losing his height on the triple jump. But I'm assuming that Ekwon is still going to have a solid lead if he ends up getting Snowdom. This might still be close to a minute, but we brought up earlier how a minute is never safe. And it's probably actually going to be less than a minute in there.
Yeah, we won't know for sure until we have kind of converged at the end of this kingdom and we're both in Luncheon Kingdom. But we can have a pretty good idea.
Yep, at this point, Ekwon's chances of getting a PB are probably not really too high anymore. Was definitely a very solid run. He's probably mainly going to be focusing on getting a win here. I'm not 100% sure. I definitely think I commentated a recent Chaos race with you that ended up being a 1:00:50, which I think at this point is at least the best time in the league for sure. I'm not sure if that's still on the line, maybe just barely if he plays out of his mind in the late game, but mistakes adding up a little bit, and that lost step was just so tragic that really destroyed all of these amazing chances of crazy paces. But he's just gonna be fine with that. He wants to get that win first of all things, obviously, at least at this point, and is looking to do so now, hopefully getting Snowdrum first try.
Quick setup there. His vectors also look pretty good, and just scraping by. Close. Didn't get quite the angle that I would have anticipated or liked from a situation like that, but you know, he's safe and he's across and he is globing, so he will be out of Snow Kingdom and on his way to Luncheon. Meanwhile, Nicro is on the last 2 moons in Seaside, so I think that this gap has closed just a tiny bit.
Nicro also not having any problems with the fish clip here, doesn't clip back in bounds. He's going to be happy about this one. Now warping back. So lead is actually not too tragic anymore. Ekwon's still going to be happy about this, probably looking at around 40 seconds maybe on his end there. Not even. So the lead definitely shrunk even still. And Nicro can take this back without too many issues if he keeps playing as well as he currently is. Still making some small mistakes that he definitely needs to avoid when he wants this and when Ekwon plays as good as he's currently playing. But with Luncheon coming up, we can see some bigger time losses coming soon. Especially Turn Clip, we've seen many seconds lost to that one in this league.
Lots of different kinds of setups being implemented by the runners, and I think that that can potentially be what causes the downfall in the turnip clip. You know, you try and go for just a slightly faster setup, the turnip doesn't go where you want, you kind of have to fumble around with it, play around. So, you know, as long as these guys stick to one of their consistent methods of getting this trick, then they should be okay.
It's still so crazy to me as Ekwon gets this amazing strat there at the start. Weird to see runners in Luncheon at like 39 minutes in. Nicro taking an even bigger mistake there, bonking out the soul triple. But this is just, if you think about this casually, this is like a very late kingdom. Wow, Nico's really having issues with that soul triple. Trying to go for it again. Now he's really bleeding time. He can't make my point here. Nicro, please get that jump, and he will. But just think about the fact that they're like this late game kingdom that is intended to maybe be visible for players that have played the game 8 hours casually, and these runners are in it like less than 40 minutes into the gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Kind of the fascinating thing about speedrunning is just how much we know about the game and how much we just kind of go out of our way to break it as best as we can.
Yeah, Nicro is currently struggling quite a bit here. Unintentional ground pound was probably trying to get a dive over to that spin speward area. And yeah, I'm not sure. He is on the brink of potentially taking his first loss here if things keep going like they are. regardless to say that Econ can still win. Is currently going for this roll here, ends up dropping this, but the Fork is just there to save the day. Keeps rolling up the slope, so he doesn't want to drop any rolls. Interesting. Losing some time on that missed roll, but at least he didn't roll to the left, because that would have been tragic. You can't really make it back up from there. Once again, going for some optimal strats and not making it quite work this time.
Yeah, lucky for him, did fall on the right side where he was able to use the fork flick. Part of the reason I do not incorporate this strategy into my own runs is just because of how risky it is. The geometry in Luncheon Kingdom is notoriously bad. It doesn't really make sense what is a wall, what is a floor, what direction you're going to go if you try and do some sort of crazy strategies like a roll. So, you know, going for these tiny little optimizations, you really do have to have a lot of trust in the game.
Yeah. Sure. Equan now attempting the cameraman at this version here, gets a very nice roll cancel off the pillar, and looks like that is a good spot for him to grab the portable. The portable isn't even out of the lava yet, so very fast on his end there. Gets the portable as he's basically just a little bit lurking out of the lava. Very good luncheon so far from Equan. Other than that missed roll there. That's the one thing that sticks out.
Yeah, but that is a minor mistake on Equan's part. He's probably not going to be too worried about that. Going to be turning all of his attention now to the turnip clip that up comes after this fork room here.
Nicro, after making some early game mistakes, now looking to get it back. Also making his way over to that salt aisle. Will not quite get the angle Equan was getting on the roll cancel. Might still be able to get the portable in time, and will do so. You do have quite a bit of time even after going for an additional dive, and gets the portable.
Yeah, it looks like the optimal strat that runners have been using lately has been off of that pillar using a spin pound into a immediate roll cancel, looking to kind of keep your momentum as you fall off the ledge, and you can just kind of run across the salt pile aisle. Very fast turnip clip from Equan there. The setup was perfect, and he was able to kind of execute on that immediately.
That was great, yeah. I was a little bit afraid because the Spiny came incredibly close to him, but he just managed to snipe the Spiny without getting his turnip into danger, because whenever you end up killing the Spiny, you kind of want to make sure that you actually aim at it, because if you are off by like a little bit, the pan can actually fly into the turnip, causing that to just disappear, aka being destroyed.
And now it's Nicro's turn. Does look like he's got a good setup on the turnip there. Is going to be avoiding the Spiny. And through the cage, very solid turnip clip as well from Nicro.
Both of them with, I mean, Equan definitely with the better luncheon, just due to Nicro's struggles at the beginning. I'm not sure, that was actually quite a big time. If Nicro's playing just finally at the end, this lead might have already be at like a minute now. This is definitely quite a big loss that Nicro took at the early stages of this kingdom, but nothing to. It's once again it's this minute. I've been talking about this minute. A minute is not safe in this game, especially with Bowser's and Moon even still to be had.
Yep, and it wouldn't be the first time that we saw a race change drastically in the Moon Kingdom just by itself, or even leads get extremely extended in the Moon Kingdom, as does happen sometimes, considering how dangerous Moon Kingdom can be. You've got these giant sections in the Moon Kingdom, essentially, and if you die, you get sent back to the beginning of them, forcing you to suffer pretty extreme time losses. So, you know, if the race is even a minute apart when we get to Moon Kingdom, all it takes is one of those mistakes to bring this back together. But now, that being said, Equan the first to enter Ruined Kingdom. NicroVeda just globing now. Not far behind, really. We are talking about less than a minute worth of time. So anything is still possible as we enter the final kingdoms. The most nerve-wracking, in my opinion, as, you know, you get towards the end. If you're on really good pace, this can be the kingdoms that kind of ruin it for everything. So just about anything can happen. We've seen deaths in Ruined, too. So just about anything is still possible. Wouldn't surprise me if F1 doesn't try anything quite so crazy, though. He does know he has a lead. He does know that there are some very major points on the line here. So it would make sense for F1 to keep it safe, play it safe, not lose any unnecessary time in the Ruin fight here. And I suppose now that we are in Ruined Kingdom, it's time for the infamous Ruined Trash Talk time. Do you have any topics this time, Limcube?
The Ruined Trash Talk time. Actually, I'm unprepared today. We should probably actually make this a real segment and come up with good topics. This is definitely the time to kind of reflect, though, on actually, I have a good one. Recently, people have been throwing out these predictions with exact dates. Like, when is sub-hour gonna happen? What date would it be? Like, what would be the exact date? I very early on, I remember Nindere posting the February 28th, which actually seems feasible now. Like, now it actually does, especially with Nycro's recently. Equal is actually only going to be at 1 HP. This is actually a pretty scary moment. I kind of want to quickly glance at it, but he will be able to get the ground pound in. I'm not sure why he took damage twice on the dragon set. They probably added up a jumping on it a little bit early. But as he gets that moon now, I want to hear from you, Dangers. What is your prediction for the sub-hour run?
Now, you know, I always set these kind of predictions and expectations, and they kind of get shattered. You know, I wasn't expecting the 100 to happen as fast as it did. I don't think anybody, like, even 2 or 3 months ago, we were saying things like 101.20 is the peak of human performance at this particular moment in time. And here we are 3 months later, and we are already smashing that by a whole minute. So I think that is going to happen earlier than expected. February 28th is actually not a completely unreasonable guess, but I'm going to even go one step further and say the 21st. I think we are 10 days away.
10 days, jeez. I actually like March 10th is my guess.
All right, you're going in kind of the same distance, but in the opposite direction.
Yep. I'm going March. March is going to be the date. Also, as well, Equan is currently forgetting to skip the cutscene. Usually, you can skip that cutscene without seeing the Odyssey approaching that dark fog there, but. Well, I guess Ruin is over. I was about to talk about the direct and potential like Odyssey 2 and whatever ideas, but we don't have time for that. We are now actually approaching gameplay again after sleeping in for 3 minutes in Ruins, and Equan is trying to bring this lead home. I'm interested to see if he's still gonna opt to go for the behind the wall moon here. Looks like he will. This has always been his personal preference since I can remember over the corridor moon. He's probably just gonna go with it for the end. Oh wow, I was about to say Cappy looks pretty far away, but that's actually like perfect timing. Cappy was on the Pogio set as he grabbed the moon.
Yeah, perfect timing. Probably could have even heard the little as he captured right at the very last second grabbing that moon. It's always kind of scary when you hear that happen, but also very satisfying. And yeah, Ekwon making quick work of this kingdom. It is very distinctly Ekwon. Just about no other runner tends to go for this moon, even though Ekwon argues that it is easier to make consistent.
Yeah,
most runners are just more comfortable with getting the crate moon later.
At least on his level. I'm very sure there's another runner out there that goes for this moon instead. But when it comes to top 10 or like probably even like top 20, I think he's actually like the only one that goes for that at the moment.
You know, not to be understated, these guys are still within the same chunk of Bowser's Kingdom apart from one another. Nycro grabbing the story moon, Ekwon grabbing the first 2 moon shards here, actually getting a kind of an unoptimal cap bounce there. He's going to have to go for a bit of a backup to get all the way back. Oh, and wow, I've never actually seen this backup before, but that was pretty phenomenal kind of last second thinking by Ekwon, grabbing that 4th moon shard out of order and getting back up on the roof. I've never seen that before.
Nice save. Help. Connection.
Limcube currently experiencing internet death.
Am I back? Can you hear me again?
He's here. He's alive.
Okay. I was roboting there maybe for a little bit. I just saw the stream cut out as Econ went for that save there on shards. Yeah, wait, what ended up happening? I might have missed something big.
So basically, he did not get... after getting the second shard, he was not able to get up on top of the roof.
Okay.
In order to perform the roll cancel. So instead, he went for shard number 4 and then basically just avoided the ridge of the roof to get back up on top and get shard number 4 that way. So very quick thinking by Ekwon. Probably didn't lose too much time at all, maybe 2 or 3 seconds as a result of that.
Yeah, nice stuff then. So both of them will be going for Harriet first here. These real speedrunners. Obviously, the world record holder now doing Harriet first again. So that meme is gone. As the review chaos. But both of them currently going for Harriet first here. And Econ also opting for first person. Both of them. Will miss one though. It's actually quite
both
big.
Within the Harriet fight. You know, this is still a very close race.
This is a long fight, but Nicro is creeping. I think Econ thought he had taken damage there, and he kind of wanted to grab the checkpoint, but he just missed the bomb without actually being damaged. So I think he realized that kind of looked awkward because of that.
That's still fine. He is still clinging to a lead here.
Yeah.
But
Topper is super quick.
You can definitely tell that Nicro's game is kind of cleaning up as we approach this late game, whereas Ekwon's is just kind of keeping it together. So if this trend continues, we could see a very close finish still.
For sure. I'm going for the little roll cancel there on the edge of the arena. Gets that. Wait, actually, I got confused too. We both got confused because Econ is a moon ahead. Now skipping that moon, this is something that Nicro still has to get. So even though they were previously both in the Harriet fight at the same time, Econ has a bigger lead than it might seem. I kind of got confused by this one. You always do because, as you said earlier, Econ not opting. I mean, opting for that moon is one of the. It's like a rare exception.
It's true. It is a kind of a bizarre situation that we don't really see ourselves in very often. Ekwon being the only one who doesn't go for this Crate Moon, like we mentioned. So he is just a touch farther ahead than it initially seemed. But yeah, holding on to a pretty commanding lead. I would still say within the ballpark of like 45 seconds to a minute or so.
Coming up though, and Econ will go for a traditional backflip climb. Gets a very fast one and gets spin pump without issues. Missing target acquired though is definitely a problem that can still occur to him, and it does lose you quite addressing one of them. I feel like if he just misses target acquired and gets up immediately using the bird, he would still hold on to a lead, but suddenly everything would be possible again. Currently, that is still the case, but it is very, very rare to see as big of a time loss in Moon. Like, arguably, the only things that could really happen to make that work would be a death into D or a death in Pillars, but we'll see where this is headed. Right now, Nicro is also starting up his mech. Econ will get a very nice target acquired. Nicro needs to match that and then pretty much hope that Econ makes a mistake, because this is surely Econ's race to lose.
It is, and we are entering Moon Kingdom, and while Moon Kingdom is not the hardest kingdom to execute on, if you do make a mistake, it is probably the most costly kingdom to make a mistake on.
For sure. There's pretty much these two very big sections. I mean, this one very big section being Escape, where you can lose tons of time, and this other section being the Bowser fight, where you can also lose lots of time, depending on the mistake you do.
Yeah, and sometimes overlooked, but missing Moon Cave Skip and going for maybe that single jump and diving off of the edge, you do go back to the Odyssey. That is a huge time loss in itself as well. Yep. Kind of 3 giant chunks where making mistakes really does cost you quite a lot of time. You get sent back a very far ways. So you would hate to see it. You don't want to see it in this race in particular, but that's all it would take on Ekwon's part to bring this race back together.
Absolutely. Moon is pretty much going to be the decider here. We get a multi-moon on the one screen as Econ globes in. And a little bit like the calm of the storm here before we head to that final section. That would be a pretty nice win for Equan. And once again, it's worth to say that we are obviously doing this point system in a way that you not only get points for winning, 40 being the number there, but also points for how well you do. And even though Equan is not dealing with a massive lead right now, just taking a win off of Nitro would be pretty massive for him, and would also cause him to be the last undefeated racer so far. Strawberries would be the only one at this point to still hold onto that title if that race had the outcome we are currently looking at. And as we have a little bit more of a breather here, just before everything kind of spices up a little bit more, and that would probably be when Equan enters the Cathedral as he drops the triple jump. Wait, is he going to be able to save it? Oh my, he will, because he's legendary. That actually was probably crucial for him to save that one. He was vectoring a little bit weirdly, so he didn't get the triple jump. But he ended up going for one of these homing cap throws on the fly. Like, thinking about that was so crucial.
Equan kind of falling apart with his moon movement here, and while he's not making those giant mistakes that we were talking about initially, he is making a little bit of movement errors here. And you know, as long as Nitro gets his vectors, and as long as he gets both rocket flowers, he's probably made a good like 10 seconds just off of this.
Equan even trying to go for the spin pound moonskip, not getting that. I think he might have jumped too early after the spin pound because he got like a double jump. And the moon gravity probably also playing a little bit of a factor there, but ends up at least making the moonskip work. Nitro will get both flowers, will be happy with his moon movement, and Equan now has to look at a pretty good boss fight to keep it going. Oh, but Nitro will drop this. This is so uncommon. Not getting moonskip here.
Looked like his first wall jump was just a touch too far to the right. Did opt for that strategy where you don't use a cappy throw to kind of level yourself out against the wall, and that did end up costing him the time there.
If he's obligated to do stuff like that, I can see it. We are getting to a point, as we brought up earlier, where something like this might be required, but pretty risky choice to opt for this, because that cap throw against the wall wouldn't lose you much time at all. Equan gets the second phase of the Bowser fight here, gets the head on top of his head, and this is pretty crucial because you do want to get the second phase kind of... You just want to be done with this. This is the one phase that you're kind of scared about in this fight. Now he just basically needs to say, okay, I got this win. All I need to do is damage boost for the last phase, take my time, make 3 jumps over Bowser's swipes, then 1, knock him out, then just play through escape without dying too deep, without dying in escape, and I got this win. I got the points on board. He's probably not going to be too concerned with his final time anymore, as he actually ends up dropping that third phase. Nitro is currently in the second. Equan needs to get his backup now, and if he does, he still said, but Bowser might actually jump away, and he will. That is actually very rough here. He is still gonna keep the lead, but it just diminished drastically. He's even getting hit here. He will still be able to hit Bowser in time, and he will still keep the lead going into escape, but it suddenly is pretty close. Just off of playing through escape and pillar room, it is hard for me to see how he can lose that unless his pillar room completely falls apart. But it is possible. I mean, a death in 2D and a death anywhere else would pretty much guarantee him losing. But just pillar room, I don't know. The pillars would need to go terribly wrong for him to lose that. We'll see.
But it is fantastic to think, you know, we have been saying this entire race, 1 minute is nothing. 1 minute can melt away in the blink of an eye. Nitro is probably within 20 seconds of Equan now, just like that. All it takes is one bad Moon Kingdom.
Absolutely. It looks like Nitro will start off smoothly here, capturing Bowser, making his way over to Pillar Room. Equan now clawing in onto this bridge, at least gets the triple jump there to work. And hopefully also being able to get to the escape, because this is the one thing that you can arguably be scared about at this point in time, because a death here will surely cause him to lose pretty much instantly. Oh god.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
God. What happened there? I can't... No, Equan, no.
That's it.
When have we seen that the last time?
we've seen it twice in the league now. Two 2D deaths,
In 2D?
one by Little Aggie earlier on in the season, and now again from Ekwon here. You know, I think he might have just known just how close this race was going to be with the Moon Kingdom that he had, and he was just trying to blaze through it, and that is going to cost him. And all of a sudden, he's behind. Nicro taking the lead into the pillar room here.
Oh, that hurts. That run was so amazing at the start. It was probably one of the best runs I was at least able to commentate, and very stunning. Econ might probably end up taking the loss here. And this is such a rough mistake. This is even going to lose him some points from that additional point pool here, not even making it very close. It's arguably to say that we've seen a death in this room, and that would be the weirdest ending ever. Econ really having some issues in the 2B section, just wants to be done with.
Oh no!
Oh, no. No, that's really unfortunate because, yeah, these extra points. This is just...
I have never been more heartbroken in a race in my entire life. Ekwon had such a solid start. You cannot dream of having the start that Ekwon had in this race. He was on pace for world record all the way up through Wooded Kingdom, and now it has come to this, and he has taken 2 deaths in the 2D section of Moon Kingdom. This is truly tragic.
Gets the backup of the triple jump there, using the double jump into the claw swipe, but this is rough. Hopefully being able to kind of forget what just happened and just finish. Nitro will take the win here, surprisingly, honestly. Still getting a 101.49. And Equan currently bleeding points. Once again, probably unintentionally destroying these blocks right there for the 2D skip. Is definitely going to be heartbroken about this one. So am I. Gotta be honest, this just hurts to watch. And might be able to get like a mid 103, causing him to... Oof, dude, this is just rough. Losing a ton of points. Nitro will stay undefeated, taking in even a little bit of extra points here, it looks like. So he will just... Like, his point total must be hilarious at this point. Really looking strong to not only maybe be the first runner to break the sub-hour barrier, but also looking very strong in this league. Once again, unbeaten now with this very, very heartbreaking change of, I guess, circumstances, but this is crazy.
And for how much time we spent focusing on how good Ekwon's run, really, NicroVeda coming 49, which is still one of the best race times in this entire league.
Very solid.
Really, the only thing going wrong for him, I would say, is maybe some minor mistakes. You saw him fumble with the Salt Pile triple, and you saw him fumble with Cascade Kingdom just in general, but aside from that...
out of bounds is the one thing I think
right,
about
yeah,
that.
Just a little bit of setup on that, but as far as the rest of the run goes, very solid performance from NicroVeda, and he deserves the 101.49, and I suppose also the win.
Yeah. Arguably to say that Econ ending this one with a 103 around 20, so looks like he was able to be in like a 1 minute and 40-second difference here. Gonna cause him to get, I think, 11 points it would be from that additional point pool. Nitro gonna be getting away with 49. I'm not exactly sure if my on-the-fly math here was the best. Our stat tree obviously going over these and kind of tracking the points there. But yeah, this is gonna be the result of this one. And we have Econ joining me and also joining Dangers. We are both heartbroken.
Yeah.
Crazy run, but run it back. Definitely early game. You can't say anything against it early game.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but now I'm sad, but well, hopefully I can bring it back in the next race, because, yeah, I don't know, Bowser was like shooting fireballs in the 2D section when I wasn't hitting any buttons. I was extremely confused.
Potentially some motion control inputs or something there. So tell me,
Yeah.
I think everything really did fall apart in the Moon Kingdom there. Can you tell us what was going through your mind as you kind of came into Moon Kingdom with about a 45-second lead?
I didn't really know how big the lead was, but I'm watching the stream, but it's like 5-second or 5-minute delay, so I wasn't really sure, but I knew it was like probably 30 seconds ahead or more, but I don't know, the vectors, I knew it was bad, but I didn't expect to like not land on the thing for the triple jump. And then
It was a clutch backup though.
I've never missed that Bowser cycle either. Lots of weird things in Moon sucks.
Well, I'm pretty sure you still ended up getting like... I'm pretty sure that Sand was like sub 10 pace, by the way. that Sand pace.
That was crazy.
You got like a 10-3 after making like 5 seconds worth of mistakes. It seemed like that was insane. And ended up still getting like, I think you said your best wooded exit, so definitely looking strong.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be able to replicate that, but we'll see what happens. The next race is in like 5 minutes, isn't it? Something
yes,
like that.
and it's gonna be your chance to run back. I can't wait to see a sub 18 wooded exit next one. Well, Nyko just realized he actually ended up winning this. He probably wasn't expecting this as he maybe caught up to the stream during like Moon, at the beginning of Moon. Sad one for Equan. He is going to be having another race very soon, so stay tuned for that and cheer him on. Definitely amazing showcase of skill, especially in that early section. Rough ending. Can't say much about that, but yeah. Dangerous, thank you for commenting with me. I will personally sign out for this one. It's getting pretty late here in my local time zone, so probably catching some Z's. But thank you for commentating. Thank you everybody for watching. Very rough ending to this one, obviously. But stay tuned to see more of Equan, hopefully getting the salty run back. And see you guys in the next one.